What's up guys, it's Mega and welcome back to yet another deck video. Today guys we're doing an Invoked Mekk-Knight Buster Blader deck. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but believe me, it's actually kind of a fun deck. We have got that spice of the Invoked, you know, Alistair to like bring out the mechaba, go for the Purgatrio for the OT Caper. Besides, we've got the mekk-knights for added flavour to help us push forward into boards, and also it helps us go in to either the Rainbow Neos or it helps us do our Buster Blader plays. And then of course we've got that Buster Blader side of the engine to stop opponents out of the extra deck, stop them from doing monster effects. Prologue is such a good trap and it only needs a single dragon to get the board rolling. If you can get that second one, you can basically lock them out of the extra deck on top of what we've already doing. And then of course we've got that Rainbow Neos to help us break boards, because of course we don't have Dragoon, so Rainbow Neos is our version of Dragoon in this game. This deck has actually made a few people leave. You'll see in the replays, and it's actually kind of hilarious. And without any further ado guys, if you're struggling to make this deck or any of my decks, check out the card hub in the description down below, because it tells you any of the card packs, challenge mode duels and the campaign duels, where to find any cards in the game. And with that guys, let's get into this video. First off guys, it's of course that one, it's of course of Garnet, and that is Elemental Hero Neos. He's a light attribute, so if the worst comes to worst, you can use him to go into mechaba. 9 times out of 10 you really want to hold off, because you're going to be playing that Neos fusion in order to go in to him. That's why he's really good. You don't really want to see him, but if you do, you can still use him. And then of course the boy himself, 3 copies of Alistair the Invoker. Any true Invoke player will know, you simply open up Alistair and near enough any other Invoked card, and then it doesn't matter if your opponent near enough hand trapped you. Alistair is begging to be hand trapped, because his effect is, upon being summoned, you get to add invocation directly from your deck to your hand. So that near enough brings out the fusion plays. A single Alistair can bring out a mechaba or Purgatrio, depending on what the situation needs. And also he has a hand effect where you can send him to the graveyard and give any fusion monster you control 1,000 more attack points. Helps for pushing over those big monsters and helps going for the OTKs. Running 2 Ash Blossoms guys, an incredible hand trap. If your opponent does anything from like special summon from the deck, send a card from the deck to the grave, or add a card from the deck to the hand, she shuts them down, have a nice day. Ash Blossom can really save you bacon. Onto some Buster Blader side of the deck. We are running Buster Blader the Destructive Swordsman, 2 of these bad boys. Again, they're kind of like a Garnet, you don't really want to see them, should be sent to the graveyard via Prologue. But even if you do see them, you can special summon it from your hand with our Buster Blader Link monster. We'll get to that in a bit. This guy's effect is he always becomes Buster Blade on the field, which actually comes in handy if you do summon him with our Buster Whelp. And also it kind of has a niche ability on the field where if any monster your opponent controls is destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can equip it to Buster Blader. Then you can destroy that monster that's equipped to Buster Blader and destroy every monster your opponent's field, which is the same type. So if you're going up against, I don't know, Attack Nixstar deck, which or Cybers, or you're going up against a Dino deck, obviously they're all going to be dinosaurs. You steal your opponent's monster, and then you send back to the graveyard, wipe out all the dinos, all the Cybers. Really great for board wiping. Onto Buster Whelp of the Destructive Swordsman. This little guy, along with Alistair, is near enough your combo starters. Alistair can start off the Invoke half of your deck. Buster Whelp will start off the Buster Blader side of your deck. So Buster Whelp, upon being normal summoned, will let you add any destruction sword from deck to hand. 9 times out of 10, you're going to go for Prologue, because obviously Prologue can shut your opponent out using monster effects, and if you do get the next monster in the graveyard as well, shut them out of the extra deck on top of this. Buster Whelp also has a few other abilities where you contribute it, special summon a Buster Blader from your hand or grave, so even if you do possess even if you do possess that Buster Blader in your hand, send off to the graveyard, summon out a Buster Blader, and you're good to go. Or if you control a Buster Blader, you can special summon this card from your graveyard by simply discarding any destruction sword card in case you do draw multiple copies. All in all, he's a fantastic little bad boy, and you can special summon him with 1 for 1. And then we're running Buster Dragon Destructive Sword. This card is begging to be banned because a lot of people are abusing the little guy. So with this little guy is equipped to any monster, your opponent is locked out of the extra deck. They can't summon any monsters from it whatsoever. And if you control a Buster Blader monster as well, you can special summon this card. Sorry, you don't have special summon. You can equip this card to that Buster Blader from your hand or your side of the field. So again, if you do draw that Buster Blader, if you go into our Link monster, you can still lock them out of the extra deck. It doesn't really matter one little bit. And just being able to lock your opponent out of the extra deck is very key. Onto the mekk-knights side of the deck, guys, we're running 2 copies of Blue Sky, 1 Indigo Eclipse, and 3 Purple Nightfall. The reason we're running these specific ones is because they all special summon and either replace, or they all special summon and search. So what a mekk-knight has to do is, it needs to be 2 cards in the same column, and then you can special summon the mekk-knight to the field. Doesn't matter if it's your card or your opponent, so either way, as long as there's 2 cards on the field in the same column, you can special summon the mekk-knight directly from your hand, which is pretty nice. Blue Sky's ability is, if it's special summoned, you get to add a mekk-knight from your deck to your hand equal to the number of monsters on your opponent's side up to the number of cards on your opponent's side of the field that's in the same column. So if your opponent has 2 cards in the same column and you play this, you get to add 2 mekk-knights. If there's only 1, you get to add 1. If there's none, because you've just used your own cards, obviously you're not going to search out. But it's really good to search out cards, and again, it's a free summon to help us go into our Link 2s. Indigo Eclipse is also a great one because you can move it from one zone to another. So that way, especially, like say you've got 2 mekk-knights in your hand, and you can only create one column. Special summon the Indigo Eclipse, move it to another column, special summon the other monster you have, boom, you've got 2 monsters for basically free. And as for Purple Nightfall, again, it's another searcher, because you can simply play Purple Nightfall, banish it, which is a quick effect, to add any mekk-knight from your deck to your hand. You can do that during your opponent's turn as well, and then it's returned to your field during your next standby phase. So even if you do banish Purple Nightfall, and your opponent then outs your board, you've still got that Purple Nightfall to come back to help you, like, recover some resources. Again, just a fantastic card to go into. We are running Nibiru, guys. This is kind of like a go second deck, so obviously mekk-knights love to go second. Nibiru is great going second. If your opponent does anything like combo decks or anything, if they summon 5 or more monsters, you tribute every monster on the field, slap down that Nibiru. So it's really great against combo decks, the main reason you do it. And Nibiru will just tribute every single monster on the field, and then you summon a primal token to your opponent's side of the field whose attack and defense is equal to the combined attack and defense of all the monsters tributed. So obviously Link monsters have 0 defense, so 9 times out of 10 you're going to put that Nibiru token in defense mode. But it's just great to out boards, because then it's all you got to do then is out the token, and then you're good to go. And then we're running Rainbow Dragon. Again, another Garnet, but the best bit is, guys, because it's a dragon, it works well with Prologue. So you can simply go into Rainbow Neos, and then during your event, obviously just do all your Rainbow Neo shenanigans. If your opponent survives the turn, you can just slap down that Prologue, fuse away your Rainbow Dragon, then you pretty much got all done your Buster Blader cards for near enough free. Absolutely fantastic combo. And then, guys, onto some spells. We're running 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, back row removal because every single deck needs some. Again, and also because it's a spell and trap, you can create zones with it as well for your mekk-knight. Cosmic Cyclone, it's great because unlike MST and Twin Twister, they can't really out Mystic Mine if they have Field Barrier in play, and also if you go against those Unchains, it's really worse because obviously then you're going to combo off the Unchained player. Cosmic Cyclone just flat out banishes the card, so they can't do anything. So it's like, because it's banished, it gets around a lot of restrictions. It gets like a lot of restrictions, and it's a quick play, so it's just like playing MST. Running 3 copies of Invocation, guys. As I say, it's searchable with Alistair. Everyone knows any good Invoke players are either going to draw Alistair Invocation, or they're going to draw Magical Meltdown Alistair. So even if you do hit a hand trap, 9 times out of 10 you're still going to resolve that invoked play, because of course Alistair is absolutely broken. You get to fusion summon using monsters from either player's graveyard as well using Invocation. You use Alistair and any of your cards or your opponent's cards, and then obviously if they're in the hand they go to the grave. If they're on the field or in the graveyard, they go to the banish pile. And it has another effect where you can shuffle it back into the deck, and then you get to add Alistair, who's in your banish pile, back into your hand. So Alistair recycles Invocation. Oh, Invocation recycles Alistair. Alistair searches out Invocation. A great good combo. We're running 3 copies of Magical Meltdown. This is basically a free Alistair, because upon being activated, you add Alistair to your hand, which then activates Invocation. So basically, this guy will search out Alistair. Again, like I say, a true Invoke play will either draw this and Alistair, or will draw Invocation and Alistair. So that way, even if you eat an Ash Blossom, you just play that other one and then you're good to go, as if you've never been hand trapped. Magical Meltdown also has another ability where no matter what, your opponent cannot respond to any fusion cards. So for instance, say they've got like an Infinity, Borrowload Savage Dragon, Herald of the Arclight, and you play Invocation, your opponent cannot respond to Invocation due to Meltdown. A really great card. Using Neo's Fusion, guys, because it has Fusion in its name, you can send it to the graveyard via Anaconda. But even if you draw the Neo's Fusion, it's never a dead card, because like Anaconda, you can do all your plays, summon about 30 monsters if you really want, then you can slap down that Neo's Fusion and summon out Rainbow Neos. Neo's Fusion makes it so you have to send Elemental Hero Neos and Rainbow Dragon from your hand or deck to the graveyard to summon out the Big Daddy Grand Neos, Rainbow Neos. And then, if Rainbow Neos would be destroyed, would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can remove Neo's Fusion in your graveyard to give it some protection instead. So that's a really great effect, and also again, it's searchable. You can send it to the graveyard off a simple Anaconda. 1-for-1 is there, guys, to help us get either access to our Buster Dragon or to get access to Buster Whelp for a dragon to be in the graveyard, so you can play that prologue. That's the main reason I do it, and again, because you're special summoning, if you use this and Alistair, you can still do the Invoke plays, and you can still do your prologue if prologue is in your hand. So there you go, that's the reason we're playing 1-for-1. And also, if you have that Buster Dragon in your hand, you can just send it to the graveyard, that way it's set up for prologue if you want to lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Terraforming, guys, is near enough a 1-card Alistair, because Terraforming will search out Magical Meltdown, which then Magical Meltdown searches out Alistair, and then Alistair will search out Invocation. So Terraforming is just basically we're playing, like, what, 7 Alistair in the deck. So that's the reason why you run Terraforming. On to the traps, guys. I am running 2 copies of Memories, kind of mandatory in the deck. Again, you don't really want to see them, but even if you do, if you have Memories and any Destruction Sword card, you send it to the graveyard, special summon a Buster Blader from your deck. Really great. And also has a graveyard effect where you can remove a Buster Blader, this, and a dragon to go into the fusion, which is what you would do via prologue. Really great, really great. And the fusion is really great to stop your opponent out using monster effects. Because we're going second, guys, we are running, of course, the free Imperm, because between this, Nibiru, and Ash Blossom, you've got a good chance of like interrupting your opponent. Nevertheless, if you're going first, Imperm is still a good card. You can activate it from your hand if you control no cards, that's why it's great going second. It's like an effect available better, because your opponent cannot use Callbar the Grave on it. What it does is, as I say, it negates a monster effect, but if you set it and then activate it, if opponent activates a spell or trap in the same column, it is negated for the rest of the turn. Absolute great. And it's searchable with Trap Trick. And then we're running 3 copies of Prologue of the Destructive Swordsman. Prologue, guys, you send any Destructive Sword and Buster Blader from your graveyard, from your deck to the grave to Synchro Summon our Synchro Monster. 9 times out of 10, you'll send Buster Blader and Memories to the grave, because then that way you'll trigger Memories Graveyard effect to banish it, Buster Blader, and any dragon to go in to the fusion. So between prologue, you can get a fusion and synchro monster who in tandem lock your opponent out using monster effects. And then if you do have 2 dragons, so you have that Buster Whelp in the graveyard or that Buster Dragon in the graveyard as well, you lock them out of the extra deck on top of locking them out of monster effects. And then Trap Trick, guys, is there because between Trap Trick, Buster Whelp, and prologue, you are running 9 copies of prologue. And again, because of our spells and Alistair, you're running 7 copies of Alistair. So you've got a very huge chance of seeing Alistair and Buster Whelp win in this deck. Really great. And then, guys, we are running onto our extra deck. We are running 2 copies of the Buster Blader Fusion Monster. Like I've been saying, saying he basically locks your opponent out using monster effects. Reason why is because if your opponent controls a dragon monster, it's forced into defense mode and then it can't activate his abilities. And this bad boy gains 1000 attack and defense for each dragon monster your opponent controls or in the graveyard. The only downside is he can't attack directly, but with his ability it's really not hard, and I'll show why in a second. We've got 2 copies of Mekaba. Mekaba is just an Omnigate. If your opponent activates a spell, trap, or monster effect, you can send the same type in your hand to the graveyard to negate and banish the card. Banish is a huge because it gets rid of the resource altogether. And you can actually play the traps because 9 times out of 10 you're going to keep the memories in your hand unless you can actually play it. So that means even if your opponent does activate a trap card, you can actually use Mekaba's trap ability. You can use Mekaba to negate a trap card, which is really great. Betrayal is there to help us OTK boards because the guy can attack every monster your opponent controls. It gains 200 attack points for each card your opponent controls, and also it deals piercing damage. All in all, perfect. And again, because it's a fusion, you can send Alistair to the graveyard to give it an even more power boost of 1000 extra attack points. All in all, Purgatory is just great to just outboards. We're running that copy of Rainbow Neos, the big granddaddy himself. Basically, guys, Rainbow Neos is our version of Dragoon until Dragoon comes into this game. What he does is you can send a monster on your monster you control to the graveyard to shuffle all monsters you control back into the deck. Because it doesn't target and it doesn't destroy, it gets around all pesky monsters that say can't be targeted by card effects or can't be destroyed by card effects. If you shuffle a spell or trap into, if you send a spell or trap you control to the graveyard, you send all cards your opponent has, or all spell and traps your opponent has, back into the deck. Or you can send the top card of your deck to the grave to shuffle your opponent's graveyard back into the deck. So all in all, Rainbow Neos deals with Salamangreats, they deal with Dark Magicians, they deal with rockets like boards, they deal with altar guys. He deals with any deck basically. So either if your opponent's playing a trap heavy deck, you're gonna send the spell and traps. They're playing a monster heavy, you play the you do the monster wipe. Or if you know they're playing like Salamangreats that rely on the graveyard, you just shuffle the graveyard back into the deck and have a nice day. Using the Synchro monster, Buster Dragon, it is playable via prologue. All monsters your opponent controls become dragon. That is the key because Buster Dragon makes it so every single monster becomes a dragon, which means the second your opponent plays any monster, Buster Blade will force it into defense mode and then it can't play its ability. Even if your opponent has a card like Alistair, for instance, upon being summoned, you get to add Invocation to your hand. That won't trigger because Buster Blader will trigger first to force it into defense mode, then their monster would trigger. But because it is in defense mode and a dragon, their abilities will not trigger. So even like summon effects will not trigger because of Buster Blader. Absolutely great. And then Buster Dragon has another ability during your opponent's turn. You can equip a Destructive Sword monster from our graveyard to a Buster Blader monster you control. So 9 times out of 10, you're going to choose the Buster Dragon, the Destructive Sword, our Dragon Buster Destructive Sword, because and equip it to our Fusion monster. That way you'll lock your opponent out of the extra deck. Absolutely key. Then we're using, on some links guys, we've got Bowl Sword for another OTK purposes in case you haven't got access to Alistair and Burger Trio. If this bad boy attacks a monster it gains half that monster's attack and then your opponent's monster loses half its attack. Really great. It can target any monster that's in attack mode, switch it into defense mode. Bowl Sword can attack twice during that turn and it's just an all-around OTK machine. We're using IP Masquerena with Unicorn because we are able to use Masquerena as like an interrupt during our opponent's turn. So Masquerena can link summon during your opponent's turn, and it's basically you're going to use her to go into Unicorn, and then also any monster that uses Masquerena as link material cannot be destroyed by card effects. And speaking of Unicorn, if it's link summoned, you simply discard any card, target one monster your opponent controls, or one card I should say your opponent controls, and bounce it back into the deck. That way, that way you can use you've got an interruption with this on top of everything else we've already been going off. Really great. We've got Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. It needs 2 effect monsters, which is near enough so easy to do, it's absolutely unreal. Anaconda, you literally will pay 2,000 life points, send 1 fusion card or polymerization from your deck to the grave to activate that spell. So basically, Verte Anaconda will send Neo's Fusion, which will then trigger Neo's Fusion to send Rainbow Dragon and Neos from our deck or hand to the graveyard to summon out Big Daddy Rainbow Neos. And that's literally off just 2 any effect monsters, which is really easy to go into. And because you've got Anaconda, yes, it has 500 attack, but if your opponent's got monsters, you could just send Anaconda to the graveyard with Rainbow Neos, so then that way you haven't got a weak monster on the field in case your life points are low. So you can still out Anaconda even though it's on the field. We have got Protector Whelp of the Destructive Swordsman. You need 2 monsters to link summon into this bad boy, and its effect is upon being link summoned, you can send any Destruction Sword card from our deck to the grave. Good if you want to send memories, good if you want to send the Dragon Buster so you can set up your graveyard. Great if you've got Prologue in your hand. And also, if you have a Buster Blader in your hand when you play this ability, you can special summon the Buster Blader from your hand. So it's just a free monster if you have Buster Blader in your hand. Then we're running Salomon Great Armorage and Secure Gardener. The reason why we're running these 2 is because Armorage, if you have a monster that's been normal summoned with 1,000 less attack, so if you normal summon the Buster Whelp or you normal summon Alistair, you can link them right into Armorage. And then you can link Armorage into Secure Gardener. Doing this makes it so a single Alistair equals a Purgatrio or a Mekaba, because Mekaba needs a light attribute, Purgatrio needs a fire attribute. So Alistair, by linking into these, literally makes it so you've set up for Purgatrio and you've set up for Mekaba simply by summoning a single Alistair. Same if you summon out the Buster Whelp, because it means you link it away, it's in the graveyard ready for Prologue, and you also have another monster on the field to help you do your plays. So yeah guys, I do hope this deck kind of helps. I kind of gone on a bit, but it's so fun to play. I really hope you all enjoy it and all give it a shot. It's really disruptive and it's kind of annoying. You'll see in the replays a lot of people actually leave, which is kind of horrible, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Stay tuned guys, because the next deck is of course going to be either our Halloween special or it's going to be Pendulum Best Deck. Let's go! So stay tuned for either one of those decks. So any further ado guys, stay safe, stay healthy and take care. Goodbye.